Hi guys, I'm Tony the vet, and today we're going to be talking about some of the cancers that you might encounter in your pet ownership. Now, these are generally speaking uncommon, but there are some issues around breed and the different various types of pet that you might have. So oftentimes there is breed predispositions to certain cancers. One of the most common things that we would encounter would be skin tumors. Now, a lot of those are sometimes associated with certain breeds. So often the more breeding that has gone into your dog, the more likely it may be that it's going to have some of these skin cancers. One of the, as an example, common ones you might see is something called a mast cell tumor. This can occur in certain breeds like French bulldogs. Often some of the whiter colorations are more predisposed. That's not to say other dogs can't get them. So if you do see any raised lumps on your dog's skin, that might be cause for concern. And what you may want to do is just go to your vet and have a good check over of that. If a lump does come up, it depends on its nature. It may not always be a tumor. It could be a blood-filled fluid blister, a seroma, or something totally benign that you don't have to worry about. But better to be safe than sorry, so better to go and get it checked. Your vet at that stage, if they are still concerned, might take a little fine needle aspirate, a little needle sample that they can send away and get assessed by the lab to see what's the cellular nature of the lump that's on the skin, and just see if it is something that needs to be concerned about and if it is going to need further treatment. If it is something that's a little bit nasty, what the vets might do is elect to do a surgery to remove the lump. If they do remove the lump, they might actually send the whole lump away for analysis just to make sure that they got clean margins and that the whole lump has been excised fully. So what they'll usually do is they'll take broad margins, so they'll try and get some healthy tissue with the lump itself. And then if they do get that, oftentimes it's a case of it's going to be a resolved situation and there's not going to be any hangover from it. But at the same time, if there is something else that they're concerned about, they may go ahead and perhaps do an X-ray of the chest or an MRI of the chest just to see if it is something that might have spread to the other organs of the body. So any lumps and bumps on your dog or your cat's body, it's best to have them checked out, and they may do a little test just to see that it's something benign and nothing to worry about. Some of the other considerations that you might want to take on board with your pet is if they're in a sunny location and they're very, very pale or white, it's a good idea to not let them spend too much time in the sun, because the extremities of the body can get a little bit burnt and that can predispose them to some of the cancers. So ear tips and things like that, if they are going to be out in the sun, if they let you, it's often a good idea just to put a little bit of sun cream on there just to make sure that they're not going to have any issues. Obviously, with a long-haired pet like a dog or a cat, it's going to be difficult to do any other locations, but the extremities of their body, like their ear tips, if they are white or pale, it's a good idea just to protect them as much as you can. One of the other things you need to look out for when you're assessing your pet and you're maybe a little bit concerned about its general health is lamenesses and things like this. Oftentimes lamenesses are related to arthritis or just getting a bit older. But if there's an acute lameness that comes on in maybe a younger dog, sometimes a cat, it's worth getting them checked out by your vet just to make sure there's nothing to do with the joint or anything acute like a fracture, or less likely a bone tumor. If that was to happen, an X-ray is often going to be diagnostic. And if that is the case, the treatment plan, it depends on the size of the pet, the age, the stage of life, but there is treatments available. One of the concerns is with an osteosarcoma or something similar affecting a limb, is the limb going to be salvageable, or is it going to be a case of amputating? And if the cancer is already spread, they mightn't be willing to amputate the leg. So it will just depend on your vet working up the case and making sure that it's the right treatment for your pet. So if you do see anything like that, like an acute lameness where you're concerned, or you see a swelling in a limb, it's worth getting your pet checked out. The other cancers that often occur can affect the internal organs of the body. So all the different systems within the body, the kidneys, the liver. If any of the changes occur in your pet where you see a massive change in drinking or behavior, or a swollen belly that's filling up and it looks like it's getting a bit more like a drum, it's worth getting your pet checked out to make sure that there's nothing nasty going on in the abdomen. Again, your vet will be able to do little tests to make sure that everything's okay, one of the simplest things to do is to ultrasound, just to measure all the organs and make sure everything's okay. But if they do find something, they may have to go on with further tests and maybe do x-rays or MRI just to make sure everything hasn't already spread, or that your pet's going to be able to be treated, and what's the best case scenario long term. They'll be able to give you a prognosis. They'll be able to check the lymph nodes and maybe just check everything out to see how's your pet going to do. If you are in the unfortunate situation where your pet does have a cancer, it may be that your pet can be treated with surgery, chemotherapy, or even radiotherapy. A lot of the medicine advances have been vast and the cancers have been understood a lot better, and the protocols used to treat some of these cancers are very, very good now. So it's something that your vet will be able to discuss with you, and you'll be able to come up with a treatment plan based on findings and the initial presentation. But not all these cancers are going to be malignant or aggressive. They might be benign, and they often are. But if in any doubt and you're concerned, it's a good idea just to go to your vet and get everything checked out just for peace of mind. That's everything from me, Tony the vet, and I'll see you guys next time.